From Max Talks Movies, and welcome to a new episode of Max Talks Box Office. Today, we're breaking down the box office of this past weekend, which is August 21st to the 23rd, 2026. Look at the overall numbers, both domestic and worldwide, for this year, and let you know what's coming out in theaters this weekend, which is the final box office weekend in the month of August. Welcome everyone to Max Talks Box Office here on Max Talks Movies. Truly an honor. And before I get started with my main video here, I do want to say this is the first video since I've eclipsed this, but we just passed 500 subscribers here on YouTube. I just want to thank everyone who has been on this journey for me. It became basically a hobby for me doing this YouTube channel during the beginning of COVID. And over the last year, I would say, I've been taking it a lot more seriously. You've seen updated graphics and thumbnails and editing. And that's one thing I want to thank everyone for their support, for sort of helping on the Patreon, all of those things. So if you want to support me any other way, keep subscribing. Let's get to that next big milestone, which is getting to 1,000 subscribers. Also, if you want to help support, Patreon is another great way to support. But let's get into this box office breakdown show. And starting at number one, guys, this past weekend, of course, again, is Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is in its fourth weekend from Sony, dropping 44%, but it's another 39 million for Spider-Man Brand New Day, 854 domestic, 2.2 billion right now for Spider-Man Brand New Day. What else can be said? This movie is absolutely dominating the box office. Truly sensational. It has been the movie of the summer. It is 1 month in theaters. It has been number one for all of those times. And the question is, are we going to get a weekend when Spider-Man Brand New Day is not the number one movie? Is it going to be this weekend? Is it going to be the following weekend? That's like the new thing now when we cover the box office is Spider-Man Brand New Day going to still be number one when I talk to you guys next week? It was number one this weekend by $14 million, so still a pretty big lead for Brand New Day. Again, it feels like Marvel, even though this is a Sony movie, but the MCU itself does feel rejuvenated after the success of Spider-Man Brand New Day. Disney is hoping this leads into their own movie, Avengers Doomsday, having record-breaking numbers at the end of 2026. At number two this past weekend was Insidious Out of the Further, which of course is the sixth film now in the Insidious franchise. The film opened to $25.3 million domestically, $60 million for the overall weekend worldwide. If you look at the main Insidious franchise, it is right in the middle as it is for the opening weekend. The biggest opening for the franchise was back for Insidious Chapter 2 back in 2013. It opened to $40 million. Then you also had Insidious The Red Door, which came out, the last movie that came out a couple years ago, which opened to $33 million in July of 2023. Then you have Insidious The Last Key, which was in 2018, opened to $29 million. And that's when you have out of the further here at number four, the only films that opened less than this one was Insidious Chapter 3 and the first Insidious back in 2010. So I think this franchise, again, this movie cost $18 million to make. I am not joking. It cost $18 million for Insidious Out of the Further. So this movie has already made up its budget more than that in its opening weekend, right? So this movie is going to be swimming in money. The break even for this movie, I just want to make sure before I even officially say it, it's an $18 million budget. It needed $45 million to break even. It's already at 60, right? So this movie is making money. Now, is it doing an unbelievable business? No. Is it the best number for the franchise? No. I do think it's disappointing when you're 6 movies in and you're at kind of the middle of the road as it pertains to openings for the franchise, where films that opened 10 years ago opened bigger than this. So it's going to be interesting the direction this franchise goes in. It took a 3-year break in between 5 and 6. Even to get to Insidious 5, there was a 5-year break in between Insidious 4 and 5. And even if you look at the franchise as a whole, the first Insidious came out in 2010. There was a 3-year break in between Insidious. So this has never been the cinematic horror franchise that just dumps movies out in theaters every single year, like Saw and The Conjuring, for example, other James Wan-led franchises. it will be interesting if this franchise, that's what this franchise needs. It's just more time in the pop culture space and to not take 3 to 5 years in between every single movie. So we'll see what Sony, again, this is another Sony movie, what Sony does with this franchise moving forward. Again, it's going to be a big money maker because it's already 15 million past its break even. So it's going to be, movie is profitable for Sony. So the question is, what do you do next to the Insidious franchise? Do you go back to the James Wan well? The Lamberts, their story kind of got closed off in chapter 5. Going to be interested to see what we do moving forward. At number 3 this past weekend was The Odyssey from Universal in its 6th weekend, dropping 17%, made another 19.5 million. The film's up to 539 domestic and 1.4 billion worldwide. 1.4. Another unbelievable story. The Odyssey continues to be a mega story as well. Would probably be seen as a much bigger deal if Spider-Man Brand New Day 2 weeks later has just taken up all of the box office headlines. But a movie about the Odyssey is closing on $1.5 billion. Even with the expectation of Christopher Nolan directing it, this is also just absolutely surpassed. The movie's surpassed expectations. It's over $600 million made more money than Oppenheimer. Just truly sensational. Universal's going to be happy. Nolan and everyone involved. A sensational story with The Odyssey. At number 4 is Paw Patrol, the Dino movie, in its 2nd weekend. It dropped 55%. This is again from Paramount. The film made 9.1, so it's up to 35 domestic and 103 domestic. So it's over the $100 million mark. The last film made 220 million, so this movie will not make as much as the first one, but this is not a super expensive animated film. It's around like 45, 50 million to make. So another movie that's going to be swimming in money. Not swimming in, but it will be a profitable movie for Paramount. And I'm sure we're going to see much more Paw Patrol underneath the Paramount umbrella, both shows, toys, parks, whatever it is, moving forward with this brand. Wrapping up the top 5 is disappointing, though, is End of Oak Street in its 2nd weekend dropped 57%. It did make $9 million, but the film's up to 37 domestic, 85 million worldwide. The film cost 80 million to make. So this movie in dire straits of breaking even because the break-even mark is 200 million and it's not even at 100 as we move into its 2nd weekend. It is mystifying that if you make dinosaur movies in Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, no matter how bad those movies are, they make money. Dinosaur movies, good or bad, outside of the Jurassic franchise, always tank. I find it so fascinating that people will schlep up to see the Jurassic movies, no matter the quality, because they're Jurassic movies. They like dinosaurs. Then when they see other films try to do dinosaurs, they don't give the films a shot. I do find it fascinating that that's the case. That there's a reason why. Everyone has been complaining for decades. Why is Jurassic Park / World the only franchise making dinosaur action movies or dinosaur horror movies, whatever you want to say? And we've seen multiple movies over the last couple years try dinosaurs, really bomb at the box office or bomb due or struggle to connect with audiences. It really is mystifying. Hopefully someday someone else outside of Universal cracks the code on how to make dinosaurs a big deal in box office outside of the Jurassic franchise. When we move on with the overall numbers this year, domestic Spider-Man Brand New Day, 854 is at number 1, The Odyssey at 2, Toy Story 5 at 3, Super Mario at 4, Michael at 5, Hail Mary at 6, Obsession 7, Devil Wears Prada 2 at 8, Backrooms at 9, Minions and Monsters is at number 10. Looking at the worldwide numbers, there's Spider-Man Brand New Day, 2.2 billion. The Odyssey, Toy Story 5, Michael, and the Super Mario Galaxy are all the billion-dollar movies this year. Excuse me. Then you have Devil Wears Prada 2, Hail Mary, Minions and Monsters, and Obsession at number 10. Obsession, by the way, just grossing past $500 million worldwide. So let's talk about what is hitting theaters this weekend. This is the final box office weekend in August, which really feels like the last box office weekend of the summer, as it really is. Summer's over. School's already starting this week. So hitting theaters this week, and the big movie is The Dog Stars. This is the new film directed by Ridley Scott, starring Jacob Elordi and Margaret Qualley. We'll see if The Dog Stars can make any hay, if Jacob Elordi can continue his rise as a possible movie star moving forward. We have Coyote versus Acme finally hitting theaters. It was a tax write-off from Warner Brothers years ago. Catch-up Entertainment picked it up. All the rioting, all of the social media buzz. Finally, this movie is hitting wide release. Can we see if that buzz of people being angry Warner Brothers dumped it in the trash helps it at the box office? We're going to see. Buddy, a horror film, is hitting theaters as well this weekend, getting a lot of buzz. We will see how Buddy does as well in theaters, and also in limited release. You have Idiots. That's a new film starring O'Shea Jackson Jr. and Dave Franco. And you also have Finding Emily, which is the new film starring Spike Fern and Angry Ray. So a lot of movies hitting theaters this weekend. What are you going to see in theaters this weekend? Let me know down in the comments. Like this video. Subscribe to Max Talks Movies, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon.